I never know how to start or stop.
Pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal. So here we are in Westlake Village with artist, the Warhol of rock, J.D. Shultz. Here we are in Westlake Village with artist, the Warhol of rock, J.D. Shultz.
I like that. Like I haven't heard that before.
I stole that from you. You like that?
Well, I got to hand that to Eric Bradley.
Dude, speaking of Eric Bradley, I was going to say, do you know how we met? We met through Eric.
Through Eric.
Eric was like such a great
He still
connector
is?
for me.
Oh.
Yes, he is still,
Yes.
but now he's in somewhere else.
Sweden with
I was
his
gonna
wife.
Sweden, yeah. She's Swedish, so
Yeah. He's
Man,
loving it.
He's loving it.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
I bet it's great. So JD, just dive in. Tell us
Dive
about
in.
yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Born on Thanksgiving Day
Oh.
at dinner time in 1968 at UCLA. And I've been trying to get people to laugh at this joke that my mom had a turkey in the oven, but had to get another turkey out of the oven. And I've yet to get a laugh. Maybe I'll get a laugh.
Well, I laughed.
I know, but I didn't deliver it in a funny way, so
You're a turkey.
it'll be a courtesy laugh.
You're a turkey, that's for sure.
And, you know, my mom and dad were very creative thinkers, and they were LA to the core, you know.
Professional
artists. My
artists.
mom and dad, well, they became artists. I'll tell you how that happened. My dad was a social worker. He was 29 years old in like 1970, 71. He had 3 kids. And my mom was just, you know, stay-at-home mom. And my dad would take the bus from our neighborhood. We lived in the Miracle Mile, so right by LACMA, a block and a half south.
Yeah.
Spalding, 840 South Spalding. And so my dad, you know, he had a degree from UCLA, sociology, and so he became a social worker. And he did what people have to do when they have kids, and you got a degree, and what do? You get a job, and you put the food on the table. And so, but my dad was he was unhappy. He got this job, and he was taking the bus downtown, and he was just miserable. You know?
That would make anyone unhappy.
He just was unhappy, and he didn't like the people he was working with. My dad was like the nicest, funniest guy. My dad was like the original Larry David. I really believe that. He was so funny, and so he had this idea that, you know, I have to figure something out because I'm not happy at my job. And so he did some research, and he knew his wife, my mother Carol, was a genius artist. And he just wanted to figure out a way to take her talent and get it out there and try to make art and sell it. And he did a little research, and he found out there was a parking lot art show on Melrose and La Cienega. Okay, literally a mile and a half away from our house.
Okay.
And so he's like, wait a minute, this is it. It's close to home. Okay, Carol, get to sculpting. So she turned the living room in our house into a studio. And so she would just sculpt every day out of clay, and it would take her months sometimes to finish one sculpture. She did a series of very provocative pieces, like she did a chess set where the king was a penis and the queen was a vagina and the knights were like testicles. I mean, it was just, you know, she was pushing the envelope. It was the early 70s.
Yeah.
So she, you know, they had to think outside the box, but that was the beginning. And then when they realized we got to make money, we got to have a commercial product, she started getting into sculpting animals, and the series of animals became her most successful series of sculptures. So she would basically sculpt in the studio. And then when she would finish a sculpture out of clay, my dad would take that sculpture and he would take it to a foundry in like Van Nuys. And in the process of making molds to sell reproductions around town.
Interesting.
Because you can't just sell
one and done. Yeah,
you can't do that. So, but the interesting thing is that the original sculpture that took my mom sometimes months to make gets destroyed in the process of making a mold.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, now it probably wouldn't because technology has just come so far. But
back then,
they would take the sculpture and then it would make a mold, and then they'd get the reproductions, and my parents would take them out to these art shows around town, like the Beverly Hills Affair in the Gardens that's still going since 1976.
Wow.
And, there were different shows in the South Bay, Hermosa Beach and Encino and Woodland Hill, all these different
like all on weekends, right?
Weekends. And there were even these mall shows, like the Northridge Mall. I'll never forget it. 1975. My parents go and they set up, my dad had these white pedestals and he painted them and then he put the sculptures on, they set them up in the mall. And there are other artists there, it's not just them.
Yeah.
And the promoter would put it together, and then so they got in this little circuit where they could do like 20 weekends of the year, staying fairly close to home, driving an hour the most. And that's how they figured it out. And my dad ran the business. So from like 71 to 82, it was my dad, my mom going to these mall art shows.
And like dragging y'all along,
us
right?
all. I'll never forget this one time in Northridge. I mean, imagine being a little kid, like 4, 5, 6 years old,
like,
going to a mall. Malls were that was the beginning of malls back then. You're like, wait, this is so much cooler than our house. That's like, so we were just running around and they'd be there selling the art. And it's really bringing me back. I could actually shed a tear right now. So Northridge Mall, 1975. Remember the movie Tommy with Roger Daltrey? It's a little before your time.
No, I don't remember.
Well, Roger, you know who Roger Daltrey is?
Yeah.
Anyway, the movie Tommy, and I remember my brother and I, somehow he took me, there was a movie theater at the other side of the mall on the parking lot, and we went and we walked across the parking lot. My parents were in the mall, and I'm a 6-year-old kid going to see a rated R movie called Tommy. Scared the shit. This movie? I mean, there were other movies that could have put me in the hospital that I saw as a young kid, but this movie freaked me out as a 6-year-old, and I had nightmares from that.
Oh, poor little JD.
But it was worth it because those memories, I mean, just being with my brother and just being alone, going to an R-rated movie in 1975, it was just... You can't make it up.
No,
you just have to live it.
It's such an interesting childhood.
It was very interesting. So, cutting to how my dad figured out a way to make a living with my mom's sculpture. And so they did that, and they did the reproductions, and they did about 20 weekends of the year. And, we were raised in a household with art, my brother and my sister, they're just very, from day one, everybody was making
artistic,
art. And my brother was really like a cartoonist, and my sister got into it. And I was the one that, we were all into sports and everything. Even my sister played sports, but it wasn't really, art was not really calling me because I was all about sports.
Yeah.
And then I got a drum set, when I was like 11 or 12. And I just,
let's back up because I want you to tell the drum set story, the whole story, the origin story.
The origin of
Guitar Center and JD Shultz.
Let's go.
And how you got the money, don't forget that.
Yes.
Super interesting.
Okay, so I had already had like a little rinky-dink drum set.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I had it in my room. I bought it off my friend Sean Franks. I remember that for like $100. I got this like beat up drum set, and I had it in my room, but I wasn't really playing it, and I just, it was just there. I didn't want to practice. I wanted to do sports. So, but in 1981, okay, I'm across the street at my friend Josh's house. We shared the same name.
I was going to say, you're Josh.
I'm Josh. And he was this kid, he was a little younger than me, but he was the kid that every time like something happened and like you could mail away for like a toy rocket that could go hundreds of feet in the sky, you had to fill it out and parents had to pay for it, and then it would arrive at the door. Well, he got one of these rockets and he knocked on me and said, Josh, you got to come over, man. We got the rocket. So I walk across the street and we're on his front lawn, and he sets up the platform and he puts the rocket on there, and we're all standing waiting for this thing to go up in the sky. And he pressed the button, and instead of going up in the sky, it went haywire up my face. And it was the most painful. I was in agony, and turns out I got 2nd-degree burns. The whole side of my face got messed up.
It's not even like scarred though.
No, yeah, it was. It could have been worse. And so, so I ended up getting like a $4,000 insurance settlement check from the insurance company, and when that money came
your
in,
parents let you have it.
What, the money?
Yeah.
Of course, it's mine. I was like 13 years old.
Most parents would be like, thank you.
We're going to put that
This is for your rent and your food.
Right.
No, but you got to go to Guitar Center.
I got to, when that money came in, I don't know what made me, I think I just probably looked at that drum set and was like, wait a minute. You got $4,000 right now in 1981. What are you going to do with that? I didn't know what to do with it, but I looked at that rinky-dinky drum set in the corner. I was like, I'm going to go order a new drum set. So I had my dad take me to Guitar Center Sunset.
And you were 12?
I was 12, probably going on 13.
Okay.
And I just, walked up. Now you go into the vintage room down.
Yeah.
But
At
this
that
was
time,
right there. You go up the
yeah.
stairs. And Dave Weiderman, my brother, was right up there. He was a 27-year-old drummer off the road. He told me that day, I never forgot. He's like, yeah, I just got off the road with Chaka Khan, but he's back at GC cool. doing what people have to do to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
You're not on the road. So he was a drum salesman at that point, and we just instantly hit it off. I mean, he hit it off with everybody. Everybody loved Dave, and that's why he got promoted a few years later to head of artist relations. But that day was the beginning of the rest of my life. It set the tone for where all my money is going to go for the next 41 years,
Still to this day.
To this day. And we just became great friends. And, I got these Dave at 13. That was probably the one time I didn't get a pro deal because I was just going in there with a fourth. Didn't know. He didn't know me. And so I just said, here's the check. I'm going to sign it over to you. Let's order that 9-piece teal Avalon. It was like a blue 9-piece Gretsch custom drum set.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it was amazing. So that was a very exciting day.
But you weren't really even a drummer yet?
No, I was a hobbyist. I mean, I was hyper.
So you did like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love the drums. I can get on there and play like a U2 beat or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
But I didn't excel in it until later, but I knew that I needed to get this really cool drum set because it was calling me. So, but that day really, this friendship was born.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be one of the most meaningful friendships I've ever had. And his name is David Weiderman. And so from that day forward, you break the drum heads, you need new drumsticks. What do you got to do? Dad, get in the car. You got to take me. I got to get new sticks. I got to get new heads. And, so I would end up going and slowly but surely, I realized that, okay, Dave's going to start giving me some good deals now. Dave, we're buddies. Can I get a deal? And it just became like this thing. Every time I needed something, I would get Dave on the phone. Dave, I'm coming down. I need to get some, some
Dude, we need to just pause and give Dave a shout out because Dave is like Guitar Center royalty.
Yeah.
Like anybody that I talk to is like, do you know Dave? Do you know Dave? And even like we have a couple new people, around here and I see people go up to them and they're like, man, Dave was just, he was like the best. And I'm like, do you know who Dave Weiderman is? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, let me tell you. Yeah. Like, I feel like we have to keep his spirit alive.
We have to.
Like, it's just, he made talk about giving music. That's what this podcast is all about. He gave music to so many people. He started so many people's careers, like just so magical. So I just want to focus on the legacy that he has left. But anyway, go ahead.
Please,
okay.
Let's focus
go ahead.
Because he's one of the dearest people to me. And if I had to just choose 5 people that really affected my life and that helped me and that just guided me, he's at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just the nicest guy. And so, 41 years of me going to Guitar Center every other week.
But how did he find out that you were a painter or an artist?
He just because we became great friends.
Okay.
And in the 80s, because my parents were artists, and then I'll never forget in 1985 the day that the museum opened. I was there. I'll never forget it. It was like I was 15, and it was 3 years after I ordered that Gretsch, and I'm trying to figure out what do I want to do now? Do I want to play guitar? Do I want to play So I was just taken by the store. I wanted to hang out there all day, and so, but in 85, I remember going there and seeing the museum and going, wow, and it's a museum, and right there, it struck in my head because my parents were artists.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, one day, I'm gonna have my art in this museum behind glass. And I knew it, and I just believed it, and every day I would go home and go, one day it's gonna happen. And it happened in 2011. But before that, Dave and I were just bros, and we were on the same softball team for years, and so we were just not just Guitar Center friends.
Yeah, but
we were just bros.
Yeah.
That did a lot of things together outside of Guitar Center, and I love him dearly, and I wish him well. And Dave Weiderman, the man, the legend, and a person that will remain dear to my heart as long as I'm alive.
Yes. Yeah. So then how did you, I know you hung out there and you still hang out there.
Yeah.
You're a fixture at Guitar Center, but how did the connection happen with your art?
Well, Dave, he got a load of my art probably because I did my first art show in 1987. Yeah, when I had to make some money. I just graduated Fairfax High School and I was playing in a band, my first band called Slap. John O'Brien, rest in peace, and Scott Grossman, my friend, a guitar player, and we were a three-piece, and we needed a singer, and it was during that time that I started taking my art out to these art shows because I needed to make some extra money. It wasn't like my dad was like, here, you need money, son? Here, let me give you $100. Wasn't like that. So I needed money. And so rather than going and getting a job, that just didn't compute. If you were from my family, getting a job.
Dad didn't go off and go to the office.
No.
That was you didn't have the traditional.
It just wasn't in the cards for any of us, my brother, my sister. So I was like, okay, well, I should probably start doing some painting. And so I did a whole series of glass paintings where I would tear up paper and then glue the paper behind glass and paint on the paper.
So you've always been using glass?
Yes, but also canvas. Now it's a lot of my work is canvas, but I also do the
plexi is what I'm familiar with.
Yes.
So it didn't occur to me that that's this medium that you used in the beginning.
That's but it was glass.
Cool. Oh, it was actual glass.
And then what happened was the whole family, my brother was doing it. My brother got the cover of the Dodger yearbook in 1988. He did a painting of Darryl Strawberry, and they wanted it for the cover of the annual Dodger yearbook. So that was done on the back of, I think, plexiglass.
Also, okay.
Or it might have been glass, because I know that my dad moved to plexiglass from 1982 to 94. For 12 years, he was painting on glass, but also creating plexiglass boxes.
So your dad also started painting, because at first he was just helping your mom, but then he actually got into painting too. Okay.
Let me explain how that happened. Okay, So from 71 to 82, my dad was running the business for my mom's sculpture. He would take them out, set them up. My mom would be there. They would sit in the chairs, and my dad would do the selling, and he would sell sculptures directly to Steven Spielberg and Stallone, Marvin Gaye, Hugh Hefner, Ron, the whole cast of Happy Days. Everybody bought my parents' work, my mom's sculpture, and then my dad's paintings later, from the Beverly Hills Art Show that still happens twice a year. And my mom was on the committee. 76 is when it began, and it's still going. And my brother still does it. My sister does. I'm backing away from that whole thing, but it's still going, and it's still a thing 50 years later. So, but yeah, my dad in 1982, it was Reagan was in office. It was inflation, and we were teenagers, and my parents were doing about 20 weekends of the year selling these sculptures for the cheaper end was under $100, and then they'd have nicer finishes, they'd do some bronzes, some marbles.
Ooh, yeah.
And some of them would be these big things, for a couple of grand in the early 70s. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they didn't do a lot of that. It was maybe a few here, if you know what I mean. The majority of our income was from the reproduction sculptures that we would sell for around $100, $200.
Yeah.
But in 1982, it was we need a bigger item. We need to sell something for more money in the shows to make more money, because we weren't making what we wanted to make. So my mom was having back problems. She didn't want to sculpt as much, and she wanted to just do her spiritual art. She was really spiritual, and so she's like, Jack, you don't need to be a trained artist to make art. just, have fun with it. Go outside, get the leaves off the ground and glue them, and then spray paint, and then splatter paint on the back of glass. And as soon as she said on the back of glass, it just, and my dad didn't have an artistic bone in his body. Hate to say it, but it's the truth. He just was, that wasn't his thing. But he really took to it. So it was my mother's teachings basically allowed my dad to dive into something that ended up being what paid the bills from 1982 until when he kind of retired in 2007.
Okay.
So for like 25 years, my dad was a breadwinner for the family.
Making art.
Making art.
You never saw him go to the office?
Never, ever, never. Never. I've imagined it, but even when I imagine, I'm like, that doesn't, no. It goes out of my head pretty quick. So my dad just did it for like 25 years, and he ended up renting his own parking lot in Marina del Rey, and he would just drive, and he paid the owners of the lot. It was a medical building, still there in Marina del Rey on Admiralty Way.
Cool.
And he would just set up like 80 paintings, and he would string them to the trees around the block on Lincoln, so people on Lincoln could see him coming, and then, oh, wow, what's going on in that parking lot? And it would be my dad with this whole parking lot of art. And so he ended up just being in this parking lot every weekend. He would sit there in the van waiting for people to drive in. Then he would get out of the van and be, hey, you need some art? And, and he did this thing that was, it's what sustained him for all these years, where he figured out a way to let somebody take his original work of art that was big, 4 foot by 4 foot framed painting for $50 down. And you could send him $50 a month.
Wow! So he was
no interest.
Financing it.
And without
that's really smart.
It wouldn't have happened, because he was just
afford...
this empty parking lot, people driving on the bike path, and a lot of young people that no one has any money, $600, $700. It's a lot of money for most people. So even though you're in the marina, you're in a parking lot, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, how are you going to just start selling?
Thousands of dollars.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but the layaway plan is how it happened. He built it.
That's brilliant.
He let these young people, I can't tell you how many videos I have of people in their 60s. They're like, yeah, we pulled in. We'll never forget your dad. We were just out of college. We had no money. We saw these beautiful, colorful paintings from the street. We pulled in there. Your dad was a saint. He let us take the painting home for $50, and we made sure we didn't pay all our bills, but we made sure to send your dad a check for $50 every month.
I wonder if he ever had to go be the repo man.
He did. He had to get on the phone, I remember he said it was like a 6 to 7%.
Okay, that's not too bad.
That he would have to get on the phone and chase the money, but he did it, and it was just a 25-year journey for him of selling art and letting my mom just stay home and do the spiritual art stuff that it wasn't about selling. It was just and my
more
mother,
about expression.
Everything goes back to my mom. I don't want to say it lightly. My mother was from another planet. Everyone who ever met my mom was like so taken by her energy and her spirit and just everything about her. It was like she was from another land and sent here to just look at you and see you
something
without knowing you, but just really welcome your spirit into this space. And she was that person for everybody. And
oh, that's cool.
And she told me the story when she was 16. I'll never forget it. She kissed Elvis.
What?
She was at a party. My mom was like the original punk rocker. She dyed her hair blue when she was 16 in 1958. Imagine being in 1958 and seeing a girl at a party with blue hair.
Yeah, that just didn't happen. It's not like today.
She was a really forward thinker, and she was a very creative spirit. And so she said they were at a party in Palms, where my parents were from like Mar Vista. And so they're in Palms at a party. My mom's 16, and Elvis pinned her up against a wall and kissed her.
I think we call that sexual harassment.
It was, I know. Every time I say the story, people are like, he pinned her against the wall. I think what he did was he just used his charm.
Yes, he charmed her.
And my mother, she was like the spitting image of Priscilla. So he had a type. And so he just, he didn't push her. He put her against the wall and he kissed her. And my mom told that story, and I just spent my whole life, God, that really
did you like
happen.
Elvis? Like, were you an Elvis fan?
Well, he was before my time, but yeah, I mean,
I was obsessed with Elvis when I was a kid. Yeah, we went to Graceland and like the whole. I loved Elvis.
Yeah, I'm a fan like everybody else,
but not like you're not like obsessed.
Well, because when I was a kid, I loved the Beach Boys, but when I was a kid,
you wanted like rock and roll.
I was
like
into Zeppelin. I was into the Police and the Cars and David Bowie, and I went through periods. Like I remember, I never wanted to grow my hair for some reason. I was like the jock, and I didn't want to have long hair with a baseball hat on. I never grew my hair, but I was the guy listening to Dio and Sabbath.
This is such like a weird dichotomy for me.
Yeah.
Like to have, you were the jock, but you're also this artistic guy. Like, were you bullied?
No, I wasn't bullied.
I knew the answer to that before I asked it. But
I've been in a couple of fights.
No, but you weren't like bullied as like the artistic guy.
Oh no, because that wasn't me. I didn't really get into that until I became like an adult. Like when I was 18, I was like, okay, I gotta have a thing on the side while I pursue my rock dreams. And I didn't talk too much about it. I just made my art, signed up for a few art shows, but I'll never forget it. My first art show was on the Bluffs in Santa Monica in 1987, and I took out all these paintings on glass with some was splatter technique on the back of glass, and some was like torn up water paper, and then I would paint on the paper and then glue it to a backing and then frame it and then put the glass in front. And I'll never forget it. I sold every painting in 2 days, everything.
In your first show?
In my first art show. Yeah.
Wow.
And they were only like 100.
But I think a lot of that has to do with your like salesmanship. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, I think that people just got a load of me, and they were just, look at it. And it was, we can get a nice piece of art framed for $150. It was my first show. Yeah. So back in 87, my dad was like, okay, you want to sell, so don't outprice, why don't you just go in there and charge under $200, and sell 20 paintings and make yourself a couple of grand in 2 days. And that's what happened.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was like, wow. And so, but still it didn't spark like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do 20 weekends of the end. No, I was 18. I'm in a band.
You wanted to be a musician.
I wanted to make it in a band.
You didn't want to be an artist.
No.
Music was your thing.
Music was my thing. Yeah. When I realized my baseball dreams were over, I'm gonna focus on being in a band, and so I became friends with Norwood Fisher through my bass player John O'Brien, and John brought Norwood and the guys in Fishbone and
so cool.
Rick Marshall and Lonnie Marshall, these like premier funk players, and I had this studio. My dad let me turn the garage, which was his art studio, he let me turn it into a music studio in our family home, and so we soundproofed it. And my singer at the time in my band, we were called Slap. I got a singer. And his name was Bobby Socks. And hey Bobby, how you doing? He's gonna love the shout out.
Is that his real name?
No, it's Norbert Calloway. And he's in Chicago, and he's a grandpa now. And he was 27 when he answered our ad. He was in a band called Bad Kitchen, and they were.
And this was like
playing.
The height of like rock down on the Strip, like. I mean, it was later than like, when the Doors were there, but it was still like happening. Super.
Oh, absolutely. The 80s, the Sunset Strip. But the thing is, I was on the opposite scene of the Sunset Strip. We were in the funk scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, it was all about
where
funk.
Was that?
It was like my first gig taking my drums. Norwood asked me to bring my drums to a place called King. And it's legendary.
On Hollywood Boulevard. It's not there anymore. But
that was the second King.
Oh, okay.
The original King was on the corner of 6th and La Brea. It's this little Chinese restaurant called King. That was the name of the restaurant. And Norwood was the musical director, but the club was put on every Sunday night by Duff Marlowe. He ended up signing Arrested Development. He became an A&R for Chrysalis, but he had this club, and I'll never forget. I was like 18, and Norwood's like, I want you to bring your drums, and so brought my drums down, and I'll never forget it. It was me and Dia Davenport. She got on the kit from Brand New Heavies. She was a great drummer, and so I brought my drum set, and her and I shared the drum duties for the night, and it was just improv, funk, and original funk, P-Funk members.
You must have been so like.
I was nervous. Because I was still green. I had never played a show, and Fishbone was already signed and toured Japan all over the world, and they're top of the line musicians. So I was nervous, but it was very natural for me to just get over that and just have a great time. And people love my playing, and everything was great. I'll never forget Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter were at that first gig. Matt Dillon, all these movie stars were coming to this club. And Keanu and Alex, they took me off stage after my set, and they're like, dude, we got to buy you a drink, man.
No way.
And it was right the week that Bill and Ted's came out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so, and then the following week we were headlining the Coconut Teaser on Sunset, and I see Keanu, and I'm a Hollywood kid, so I'm like, that's fucking Keanu Reeves, bought me a drink, and there he is next week coming to see my band play. So he's out front walking in, and he recognized me from the week before or whatever.
And he's a musician too, right?
Yeah. He's been a musician probably his whole life. And so he saw me and he recognized me from the King show, and he's like, yeah, man, I came to see your band. And so I walked him in, and I felt like such a star, just walking Keanu Reeves into the teaser and getting him in. Like, you're coming with me, buddy. I'm the drummer.
Yeah, and nobody else knows who you are.
Exactly. It was just really cool. And I haven't seen him since, and he would probably never remember.
Yeah. You look a little different.
I look a little different. Yeah.
But so you went to Fairfax High at a time when a lot of creative people went there. I mean, there's a ton of people that came out of Fairfax High.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
A ton.
Yeah.
And you have a scholarship that's in your name now.
Yes, it's so amazing. I can't believe it. It fell in my lap. The committee reached out to me a couple of years ago, Fairfax High School Committee, and they said, look, we're having the 100-year centennial celebration, and we have just been hearing about you. Your art is all over Guitar Center. Your art is at Cantor's. Your art is everywhere. Everybody knows. So we want to put you in the Hall of Fame. And I was like, no way. It was amazing. It was such a great feeling to get that call, and I'm like, okay, that's great. So they put me in the Hall of Fame with David Arquette, and
that's what I'm saying. There's so many people that came out of Fairfax High.
Yeah, and Rami Jaffe of the Foo Fighters. So him and I played Little League together.
Right.
He just sent me a video of us on the same dugout, 1979. And I'm like,
y'all all played softball and baseball and all played music. I mean, Dave Kushner.
Oh yeah, Fairfax High, and so that was a fun event. We went to the Hollywood celebration, and it was just great. I brought my kids, and it was like, wow, I'm in the Fairfax High with Phil Spector and Ricardo Montalban, and Demi Moore, and all these, and Slash, and the Chili Peppers, and all these legends. I'm like, wow.
And Slash also played baseball, right?
No, but Slash. Oh, okay. And you're going to get 1977. I'm 9 playing at Gardner Park. We're just pickup games every day in the summer. And the first guitar player I ever saw play a guitar in front of me was Slash. He would sit in center field and practice acoustic, this big afro. And he would sit in the center field at Gardner Park, and we would just be playing pickup games. And I'll remember he flagged a few balls for us because I remember chasing a ball, and he had to get up and put the guitar. And I'm like, God, a guy with a guitar. Wow. I didn't
Not playing baseball.
Not playing baseball. And he picked it up and threw it back to us, and I'll never forget. And then I became more friendly with his brother Ash because he was more my age. But I'll never forget it. And then
Slash and Ash.
1983.
That's a band right there.
Exactly. 1983. Okay, I'm 14. I'm at Gardner Park playing baseball again with my friends, and all of a sudden we hear this band playing in the outfield with full-on amplifiers. It was the beginning of Guns N' Roses.
Wow.
They would set up in the park. Steven Adler would bring his drums, and it was when Tracy Guns was in the band. I knew him as Tracy Ulrich. That's his. Sorry to out your real name, but he was on my brother's basketball team in '78, and so we all whatever. I'm like, wow, a band is playing. They were rocking out in the park. And then later on, I was like, wow, that's Guns N' Roses. That was
wow.
Isn't that insane?
That is insane.
But where I was segueing, we were talking about Fairfax.
Sorry, Fairfax High, yes.
The scholarship. So So what happened was at the celebration, I met another guy who was inducted, who I've known, but he was older than me, and we were never really homies. But when we'd see each other, be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we, I knew some of his friends that he grew up with, and his name is Isaac Fadlin, and he's a beautiful human being, and he had a shoe store, and that's how I knew of him, because I would go into his shoe store from the late 80s. It was like a whole
little community.
Oh yeah,
back in the day.
Melrose. Right across from Fairfax High School.
Yeah.
So Isaac had Sporty LA, and this was a shoe store that if you were cool, you were getting your shoes at Sporty LA on Melrose. It's this little tiny store, but they would be getting these like shoes from Europe, like Nikes, and you can't get anywhere else.
This is like the original like shoe.
Yes. Well, if you wanted original custom like shoes that you can't get at Foot Locker, you go to Sporty LA, because they're getting them from like England.
That's so cool.
So and we always went to Sporty LA to get our shoes, and I knew that he owned it, and I would see him once in a while when I'd go in there, and he might be in there because he was the owner, but he didn't work there all the time. But anyway, we see each other at the Fairfax celebration for the Centennial Hall of Fame induction, and we were like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we became friendly, and then I see him at my brother's first best friend's mother's funeral about a year and a half ago. A little over a year ago. And he's there. I'm like, "Oh, you know Devin's mom, Amy." Amy was my mom's best friend. And he was there. And he's like, "Yeah, I was great friends with Devin." And so he's like, "Hey, you should come check out my space, Sporty LA." He's like, and you're like, "You should come see my space, because maybe we could do something with your art there." And here we are a year later. I have a gallery on Melrose,
Sporty LA.
Next door to Sporty LA, which is his building, and he's just so awesome. And he just, so
this is what's so crazy about your life. And I guess maybe because you're an Angelino, so you've always lived here. But like you just have so many inner workings with so many different things. I feel like everybody knows you. I think I told you that I had a friend he said, "Do you know JD Shultz?" And I was like, "How do you know JD Shultz?" He bought one of your paintings.
Oh, cool.
Like, in the 80s. I think I showed you.
Wow.
It was like the first painting he and his wife ever bought, to your point, that they like couldn't afford fancy art. They bought your painting, and now it's probably worth millions of dollars.
I don't know about that. But the funny thing is that it might be a Jack Shultz, because I've had many people through the years that confuse, because we did the same technique. And I was even selling my dad's art from like 92 to 98 when I just didn't want to do my own work, but I needed to pay for my apartment. So I would take my dad's art to these shows, and I would sell directly. Oh my God, the stories. Kevin Cronin, John Anderson of Yes comes up to me in the 96. And I'm selling my dad's art. I'm there playing my guitar and waiting for somebody to come into the park. And John Anderson, I see this guy that looks familiar. I'm like, is that John Anderson? He comes right up to me. He's like, "Where's your dad? Where's Jack?" And I'm like, "You gotta be." He's like, "I have 10 Pips. My whole house in Santa Barbara is decorated with your dad's art. I love your dad. Where is he?" I'm like, "Well, he's not here. I'm his middle son." And he picked up my guitar and he played Roundabout right for me.
Shut up.
Right.
See, this is what I'm saying. You have so many cool stories. You need to write a book.
I'm making a movie.
Yeah. Well, when did you start doing like rock art? Like, how did that?
Well, the rock art, that happened when I started raising money for Music Cares.
Okay.
Yeah, about 20 some odd years
charity.
ago. It was charity that got me into it, because but I want to backpedal and just finish the scholarship thing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I'm the one yapping away. So the scholarship, and then we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So Bev Meyer, she's the head of the Fairfax High School committee, the woman that reached out to me, said, "We want to put you in the Hall of Fame for the celebration, da-da-da-da." She reached out to me and she said, "JD, we want to do a scholarship in your name."
That's so cool.
And I was just, my heart sank, and I've just been like, "Okay, how do we do this? What do I got to do? I'll do anything. Let's get it happening." Philanthropy is my life.
Yeah.
It's all I think of is like, if I could just raise millions and, in my lifetime and try to just steer this planet, help in a little bit different direction, and keep art and music education alive in schools when it's dead in schools now, it's not even, there's no budget for it. And I'm just like, wait a minute, you can't, I think music education and art should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, I mean, why is history and English, and I know they're important, but art and music education,
well, and you
me
could weave them together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do. But at the same time, it's like I need help and I need everybody to come on board. It can't just be me. Like, you know, I put an email out and we got some Val was my first.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was so nice to get him to donate. And, you know, it's just moving the energy into that direction where now, okay, people can now go and donate and raise money, and that money's going directly to the students that thrive.
Yeah.
And they thrive not only in music or art,
and we want to give them an instrument, don't forget.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but also a key factor, a component to the scholarship is how you market it. And how you can take your creative abilities and get it into the marketplace, because that's more important. Because the artists, when they realize they got to go to work every day to pay for their life, they're going to start making art. They're going to be so frustrated. Do you know how many artists have put their art away?
I mean, I can only imagine.
They can't make money.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a way to take it and stand up and talk about your art and get up in front of people and sell your art.
Yeah.
That's the key to artists being able to thrive and make a living. I remember being a kid and you would hear artists are the most introverted, you know, like they can't even talk about their art. They just sit in their room and make their art. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they expect like a gallery to just like discover them. And like they're gonna make them a star, but that's not reality.
Yeah.
And it never really was, because very few artists would make it through galleries, and they would just end up.
What a hard life. Yeah, totally.
You know, and so there's millions of creative people out there that just end up throwing their hands up in the air and having to get a job. And what does that do? That makes for a miserable planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of people waking
frustrated
up.
Artists.
Frustrated artists that can't get a leg up and they can't do what they love to do every day. And I think that, you know, obviously we need people to do everything in this world, but there are a lot of people that love math, that love, you know, accounting and being a lawyer. And, you know, but people that are creative, we have to figure out a way for them to find a path. You know?
That's cool.
So the scholarship, it's happening. It's just getting off the ground. I just put out my first email and we'll see where it goes. But, you know, we just want to help a few students, because there's a lot of, I mean, think about the way the world is with technology, and everyone's on their phone, and it's just like, you know, these artists, they're creative, but their heads are ready to explode because of all the information overload. And how do they really focus and have something to push them to succeed with their art? But what the scholarship will do, it will just, you know, well, if I work and I'm the best at this and I focus, I could be the one to get the scholarship. And so it's going to make a lot of these students at that high school be able to focus more.
Yeah. And I think also if you try to sell your art and you have to go through that process, that's going to tell you early on in your career, am I made for this? Do I want to do this? Do I want to be out there hustling all the time? Because it's a hustle.
It's a hustle.
And
I'm still hustling, believe it or not. I wish I could say, you know, I'm at that point in my life where it's like, I'd like the work that I've done
to speak for itself.
But do the work for me. And I think I'm getting there with these rap guitars, with just getting in my art everywhere. I have about 15 showrooms, you know, chiropractic offices and physical therapy and men's clothing stores and Kirk Jewelers.
All the places.
3 showrooms in Westlake in that mall.
Yeah, I know.
Guitar Center, Carrier Menswear, in the other corner, next door to Kirk Jewelers. There's like 25 paintings of mine.
That's great.
You know,
cool.
And so if I could just get a few calls here and there, you know, it just makes my job easier as I get older. You know, it minimizes the hustle, because when you hustle for 40 years, you know, most people retire, you know, after 30 years at a trade. They're like, I'm getting my pension. I did 30 years. I'm like, 30? I'm at 40 and I'm still hustling. You know, what is this 30? I'm okay, that sounds good. That means 10 years ago I could have, you know, taken a pension. It ain't happening for me.
So going back to the rock art, because what this podcast is about giving music, and I think what you do is so unique, because through your rock art, through the charities, through raising money. So I'll let you.
I mean, I had a collector. His name was Doug Gore. He was a drummer, and he bought my painting. Him and his wife came to an art show in Riviera Village, Redondo Beach area, and he worked at the Recording Academy. So I sold him a painting, and we became very friendly. And he's like, you know, JD, you should come to the Recording Academy because I want to introduce you to, I think Ken Conjoinian, whatever his name was. He was the main guy. Forget his name, but he's like, you should meet this guy because he could start getting you in, and we can start raising money. And artists, you have to raise. If you're an artist, you have to do charity if you want to get your name out there. And I was just like, I never really thought about that before because it was like a business, and I just wanted to be in a band. I was like, okay, art shows, trying to find a singer for the band. You know what I mean? And so I didn't really put that together, but it really kind of made sense. And so we took a meeting with the guy at the Grammys and Doug and a guy who was my agent at the time. We sat there, and it was like, okay, let's do this. And so I started donating a painting for Music Cares, and they let me come to the event. They gave me a full page in the Tribute Journal every year for like 9 years in a row. Yeah. Because what I was doing was I was going the distance. Yeah. I was painting a very large original and framing it and bringing like a 6-7 foot painting to Music Cares while all the other artists were donating prints. Like, you know, like Ron Wood is a great artist. Like he would donate a giclée print on canvas. And so it wasn't an original painting. Right. So, you know, and people that are going to go and spend a lot of money, they know
want
the
an original.
difference.
Yeah,
they want
for sure.
If they could get an original and give back, and they would see these big, beautiful, colorful plexiglass paintings of mine, and it was a hit.
Yeah, so and plus it's a little bit easier to drop a bunch of money when you're like, it's going to a charity. You know, you're just like, you're like, okay, it's, you know, I'll drop 10 grand or whatever.
Exactly. And it was 23 grand for that. When you see the picture of me and Tony Bennett, my story with Tony is great. I'm sitting there at the event. It's 2011, and I'm there and having a drink, and it's exciting. You're at the event. It's Music Cares, Person of the Year. And I'm sitting there looking at my 7-foot painting that's nothing like it is there. And I'm like, people are all standing around, and I'm talking to people. And then someone comes up to me. He's like, dude, Tony Bennett is standing right in front of your painting. What do you, and I practically dropped my drink, and I was nervous, and I walked right up, because I knew he was an artist. So I was like, wait, I got to go talk. So I went right up to him and just started talking. Hey, man, what's going on? I'm a big fan.
Hey, man.
I love your art. You're so talented as an artist as well. And this is my painting. And he's looking at it, and he just couldn't figure out how I did it, which kind of baffles a lot of people when they stand in front of it, especially if it's framed, because it looks like it's just a painting. You're looking at it, you don't look at it and go, that's a reverse glass painting. You don't see it, you just look at it and go,
it looks like textured, but it's not.
Like, how do you get the colors like that? So I'm sitting there baffling Tony Bennett, 85-year-old man who's a great artist and legend, and he's looking at my painting, and he's like, how do you do it? How do you make that painting? And I was like, I paint on the back of plexiglass. And he looked at me, he's like, what? He was so like he's never heard of anything like that in his life. And I remember just being like, wow, I just kind of blew away Tony Bennett. And so he's like, this is amazing stuff. And he took a photo, and that's a great photo.
There's a lot of musicians that are also visual artists.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm always surprised, like Herb Alpert, you know, like Tony Bennett. I mean, there's a ton of people. Yeah. I wonder if there's something there, you know? Or maybe it's just that you're creative and expressive.
Yes, and especially if you get to make it in music, you know. Ron Wood, these people, they haven't had to wake up and punch a clock. Right. So usually when you're a creative person, there's other outlets. You want to step in and do something. You got nothing but time on your hands. Right. And all the money in the world to go and buy supplies.
That's a good point.
You know, but I don't hear a lot. I mean, there are the musicians that you hear about that are also great painters, but I still haven't heard of too many of them, just the few that we know of. Ron Wood, Tony Bennett. but it's just, they go hand in hand. That's what I'm trying to do with Guitar Center.
Yeah.
I just left Guitar Center Westlake, got the green light. I'm ordering 2 more. We're doing a
yes.
Gary Clark, and we're doing a Eric Clapton right on those 2 big walls.
Nice.
Where they're, they created a living area. You're going to see these 2 big JDs across from the Hendrix. And it's just, I've had this vision for so many years to turn Guitar Center into a destination place, into a place that 1 million new people a year go to that would never go to Guitar Center because they're not musicians, because they hear that it's, have you seen Guitar Center? It's like art everywhere, and this colorful wall wraps, and then art on guitars and paintings and the Warhol of rock.
Yes.
So I feel like, I've been manifesting this thing for so many years, and I feel like from what I've already accomplished, how can it not happen?
Yeah.
How can it not become reality? I got Gabe on film.
Yeah.
Saying, well, you push the doors open for 40 years, that's when they open.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I'm closer than ever to making this lifelong dream come true, which is to basically be a person working with Guitar Center, you know? And
Well, and I think what's so cool about the Rock Walk is that was the idea back then, and then, whatever happens when a company gets big and expands, but like, how do we create that same kind of feel that, just when you go in and your art's everywhere, you feel like you're in a club or a venue or something, it's very inspirational. You don't just see guitars, but you see artwork and people that playing. And I just think that's so important, especially as we look at Guitar Centers as a community, as a place that fellow musicians come to and like get to know each other. And it's not just about buying music gear, No. I mean, it's a community. So
it really is.
I think that's so cool. I'm excited about what's happening at Westlake and what's going to happen at
Northridge.
20
paintings are going up. It's no joke.
So cool. I mean, I was over talking to Guy Marai, shout out Guy, over at Westlake, and he was like, I want to wrap the walls and like just all this stuff.
I sent him these images.
Yeah,
That's
he
what
showed
I do.
me.
I take my high-res art and I take a photo of the, look, if my wraps were on those gray walls and kind of have a penitentiary kind of a look, it's
just a gray,
they need to do something. And so I make these graphics and I show them with their own eyes. You can see, look, this is what can be with the press of a button.
Yeah.
And that press of a button is 40 years of work to schlep my art to be professionally photographed on a $60,000 camera. So one day I'll be able to put my art on anything, on tables, on guitars, on walls, on floors, on chairs, on guitars, on anything. And that's what's happening right now. The sky's the limit now.
I don't remember how we kind of came up with this idea of painting guitars. I don't remember what was the thing, but I had talked to you about, hey, would you be interested in painting a guitar? And you're like, let's wrap it.
Yes.
And so I don't know if we should we show the guitar?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, go get it.
You gotta get it.
They're in the cage. Oh my God, I don't know why I didn't think of this before.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, so I had this idea to have you paint a guitar, and then JD's like, no, the way to do it is to wrap them. And so we've been working on this project for a while, kind of trying to figure it out for a long time, actually. So I gave JD a bunch of guitars that were kind of old and like, not really, not the best guitars, but I was like, let's do this.
Let's go.
So this is JD's original art, and this is obviously Zeppelin. And then the other thing that we figured out was the sides were black.
Yeah.
And then we were looking at them, and it's like, no, let's put stuff that looks like the artwork on it. So like something that's like kind of like this on the side. And then you've got Led Zeppelin. I mean, this is so cool. These are not strung, but we're having some strung right now so that we can like actually play them. And it's like, is it a piece of art? Is it an instrument? Do you put it on the wall?
It's both.
It's like,
it's both. These are not,
it's all the things.
These are not going to hinder the playing at all. It's
right, because it's wrapped. So, I mean,
wrapped.
It looks like it's painted. You can't even really tell. Even like I'm touching it this close and you can't even really tell.
You can't tell.
So it's so cool. And then we've got the Bowie, which I love that one. I love that one so much. I mean, and then Rob, we can see the other two that are over there?
Yeah, sure.
We've got, okay, yeah, let's just swap.
Swap?
Yeah.
Be careful.
There you go.
Careful. Oh, I love the back of that one. I mean, I love the front. So this is actually your Jimi Hendrix that's hanging at the Westlake store.
And Guitar Center Hollywood.
Yeah. And now it's on a guitar. And then, thank you, I'll switch you. We got the Beatles, Abbey Road. Yeah, I mean, show the sides, like it's the whole thing. And we're actually thinking about wrapping the necks now. So you're getting a sneak peek here of our process. I should say your process.
It's all of us. We're doing this together.
It's so cool. So yeah, we don't know where this is going, but it's an idea and we're exploring it. And I'm really excited because it's so much more than an idea. This is the future. This is the future.
This is the future. You know how many? Somebody told me, if they had a Guitar Center in Laguna Beach and you had a wall of my wrapped guitars, and they're not going to be cheap. Yeah. Because they're works of art and they are playable because we're gonna put them on great guitars.
Yeah, and my thought is always like, my idea is that we would sell these for the foundation, a portion of the donation, a portion of the sale would go to to give back instruments. And again, this is where we come full circle to giving music. Like JD, you've been giving music through your art for so many years, and I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for us, for Guitar Center, for making it real and tangible. And, I just think all artists should be giving back. And you are you do that every day. And I just want to thank you so much for being an ambassador, an advisor for the foundation, and just all that you do. So
thank you. It's such an honor, and it's the greatest gift to know that I get to wake up and do what I love and just do my part to trying to steer the world into a little bit more of a colorful, creative direction, and create some cool things that didn't exist before I was here, which is my art wrapped professionally on a guitar. And again, this couldn't happen unless I didn't take my paintings over the last 40 years. I have boxes of about 900 high-res images. It started with colored transparencies, and then it became digital about 20 years ago, where I would just go to the photographer, and he would give me a high-resolution file on a $60,000 camera, and that's all I need to now print any one of my paintings on the side of the biggest wall on the biggest building in the world.
Yeah.
Just get the guy to get up there and put it up there. Yeah. And the vinyl, it comes in like 4x8, 4x6 sheets, and the way they can get it on a wall, it's unbelievable. It's like a glue gun, and they just basically glue it to, it could be a 100-year-old brick building, and then the way they apply it, the vinyl gets sucked into the grooves of the building, so when it's done, no one thinks it's anything but a painting. They think it's a painting. But it's really, and I do owe technology, I mean, thankfully, technology is
you're
amazing.
Using technology to enhance what you already do, and I think that's what AI and all this stuff. And speaking of AI, they've got to check out your Abbey Road where they start walking.
Oh yeah, I made a little.
It's so cool.
It's funny. I did a Green Day one yesterday for Billy Joe's birthday, and I uploaded it, and one of the fan Instagrams allowed me to, I guess, share it with them, and we got all these haters AI. Green Day hates AI, and what do you? It was oh my god, but 800 likes and about 40 comments. Stop AI. Green Day hates it.
But see, that's what you've got to use it for.
You got to use
something
it
like
for
that. This is your original art,
right?
And you're bringing it to life.
But they don't know. Those kids don't know that. They think I did something about in a generator where I didn't even create the art. But the thing is that it's a painting that is mine, that I painted physically and spent 100, 200 hours. And then because I have a professional photograph of it, I can then manipulate it and use technology to create these amazing little cartoons with the painting. So I mean, I think AI it's a tool. It's not going anywhere, and I think we just it just needs to get in the right hands. And people need to use it in the right way.
The right way.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I hope to do. I'm not trying to take advantage. I'm not trying to do anything. It's just just
playing around. You're being an artist.
I'm being an artist.
How dare you?
I know, right?
How dare you?
I'm very, very happy with the way these are turning out, and I just know that Fender, Gibson, Mitchell.
Yeah.
I could see it. Just I don't want to be exclusive. Like I feel like it's just my art should just be able to be on every company's guitar.
Absolutely.
Why not? It'd be every guitar in Guitar Center has like a JD Shultz.
Yeah.
Like a little, okay, we can do the Bowie will be with Mitchell or this Zeppelin, because I could paint another Bowie and then that Bowie can be with Fender.
Absolutely.
Like why just be with one company? So I just think that it's endless. The potential's so endless.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited, and I just want to be young enough to appreciate all the fruits of my labor and seeing it and go, yeah.
It's happening. It's happening.
Right?
Yeah, it's happening.
So,
sometimes you have to stop and look back at all you've accomplished and how far you've come from that first that first drum set at Guitar Center and just like where we are now, you know? So you're part of the family and I just want to say thank you again for everything that you do.
It's an honor, but I definitely have to give a shout out to Dave Kushner.
Oh yeah,
it was
absolutely.
so great to see him and have a nice meeting with him and get him on film for my movie that I'm making. And him and I go way back to 1979. We were in the same Little League at Hollywood Park, and then a few years after that, he was living with my bass player who answered my ad in Recycler magazine, and I knock on the door. I'm like, "Hey, John O'Brien here," and then there's a guy, Dave Kushner. I'm like, "Dave, dude, what's up, man? How are you, man? I haven't seen you since Little League, And it was really great to see him, and we all became friends, and that was like the hub. Their apartment on Martel and Willoughby was where Fishbone, Trulio Disgracious, and it all happened there. And then we ended up being a band together for like 4 or 5 years called Trulio Disgracious, and it's just, and now to see him, he's the new. I told him when I saw him, I was like, "You're the new Weiderman." I mean,
totally.
Dave Weiderman can't be replaced, but neither can Dave.
Yeah,
Dave Kushner can't be replaced. So it's like, so I'm excited, and my first thing is to get him in where he belongs in the Fairfax High School Hall of Fame.
Let's do it.
That's a given. He's the man.
Thank you so much for being on the show. For this is just part of our journey, part of what we're doing, and I appreciate you so much, JD. So you made it to the end of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. It was so inspirational for me. If you enjoyed it, please like us, please follow us, subscribe, comment in the comments, do all the things. Go to guitarcenterfoundation.org, make a donation, help us continue to give music to people who need it the most.